The rules for turning in your lab assignments are a little different for this course. Please watch this video in its entirety to understand how you're going to turn in your lab assignments. You'll submit your labs on ELC. Please save your Word document or your lab document as something informative. You could save your file as your first name and your last name and the lab number, or you could save it as your last name and the title of the lab, or something similar. The file name should be informative. Otherwise, I have multiple downloads with the exact same name and I have to resave them. And that's not really a good use of my time. Now, here's what's different, or what might be different. You can resubmit your lab assignments for higher grades. I want you to learn the material, and studies show that we learn more when we aren't worried about grades. So you have 3 weeks after the original due date to make any corrections and turn in your lab again for a better grade. You must still submit labs on their due date. So if you aren't completely finished with a lab, you should still submit it. If for some reason you haven't started a lab at all, say you got sick or you had a week with a lot of deadlines, you still need to write something on ELC and tell me what your plan is for the lab. When are you going to work on it? How will you make sure you don't fall behind? I'm not going to give you all the time in the world to turn in labs. It's hard to remember what we did in the first lab on the 10th week of the semester. So you have 3 weeks after the lab was originally due to turn into any revisions and corrections. According to this calendar, if lab 1 was due on January 10th, you can make corrections and resubmit it up until January 31st. That's the last day you could turn it in for a higher grade. This policy should not be used as an excuse to wait until the last minute to do your work. I will try and grade and return labs as quickly as possible. Once your lab has been returned to you, you should manage your time wisely and make any corrections sooner rather than later. Your lab will have comments telling you how to improve. You can always email me. You can always discuss with me in person or virtually if you have any questions. You will still have a new lab each week, so remember that. On the deadline for the lab, your goal should be to submit the best version possible. Hopefully, you won't need to resubmit the lab at all. This policy should remove the need for extensions, and it should allow you to learn more. You can focus on learning the material and understanding it rather than getting a right answer. Hopefully, it's also going to remove some of the stress of grades as well. I need some things from you to make the grading workload manageable for me, though. If you want to resubmit a lab, I'm going to ask that you download the graded lab from ELC. This is the one with my comments. Please do your work in this document, not the one you submitted originally. Work from the file that I commented and graded. You should do something to make the new or changed content clear. You can turn on track changes, or you could use a different color font or highlight the text. Save this document with an informative name and upload it when you're finished. You don't need to notify me of resubmissions. ELC automatically lets me see that there's something new. If for some reason you're unable to resubmit a lab within 3 weeks, you fall very, very ill, or you're going out of the country to complete field work, something like that, contact me and we can discuss potentially allowing some more time, but this will be a case-by-case basis. So talk to me and we'll talk about it and see if we can come up with a solution.